I'm going to talk to you tonight about a subject that's really not that popular amongst most speakers in our business, building teams of people. But yet I believe it is our obligation, it is our job, our duty, to help others get over fear. False evidence appearing real. But first and foremost, I want to congratulate all of you for your contributions to Team MMP, by you coming across the stage for your awards and recognition, by your participation, by you buying the ticket to invest in yourself. You too are helping others, maybe in the row behind you or in front of you, overcoming their fears. By your growth, they see in you the qualities and the strengths that are going to be required and called upon from them. And because you have achieved, they will be able to believe a little bit more that they too can overcome their fears and achieve. So I want to compliment you not just for your award growth, but for many of you that I've gotten to know, for your personal growth as people. We can see it. It's much like when we see our grandchildren. We can see the measurement, but perhaps their parents who see them every day don't always see it until it's buying a new pair of shoes or a new pair of slacks or a shirt. And they realize, gosh, yeah, they've outgrown this one. But as grandparents, you can see that incremental growth very easily. But bottom line about fear is one question called belief. Do you believe? Let me ask you a question. You've heard us say the secrets of your success are hidden in your daily routine. So now the newest person in the business, on listening to this, will have heard it at least once. I would suggest to you that we're not kidding when we make that statement. It's not just a phrase, a catch-all, something cute or trivial. It is a very, very sincere statement. It is something that we need to work on every day. And it takes courage to do that. One person asked me not too long ago, which do I need most to overcome fear? Courage or character? My answer was simple. Yes. It takes both, doesn't it? Both oars in the water. There must be character. There's got to be some backbone. You know, I read a book called Man of Steel and Velvet. You can't just be all steel. You also have to have some velvet. You can't just remove a fly from somebody's forehead with an axe. You know, the diplomat is somebody who can walk on your newly shined shoes without ruining the shine. And understand that there are some folks that are in the business, no matter how much you beat them with the lash of ambition, sometimes don't think or feel they're worthy. So courage must also play a big role. Andrew Jackson said, one man with courage makes a majority. And I've never forgotten it. You probably read it too. One man with courage makes a majority. One man with courage makes a majority, because even those with less courage will follow the one man with courage, and they will become a majority. Society today is filled with many fence sitters. It's a popular position, but it only leaves picket fence marks on your rear end. They say don't discuss these certain things because certainly that's not what's going to work. But understand the secrets of your success are hidden in your daily routine. How did you react to this, that, and this, and what is it that you did? Well, fear and procrastination generally pop up when people are dealing with failure. So therefore, we go there. The opposite of success is not failure. Many times, brand new IBOs, new members of the team, will say, well, the opposite of success is failure? And the answer is no, it's not. The opposite of success is quitting. And let's not play on words. Remember, Thomas Edison failed at many great experiments. Some of our greatest researchers are failing as we speak, but they're getting closer because they know what does not work. We cannot be discouraged by failure, but only understand we're even closer to success. It is how we look at it. We must learn to approach things with courage and character to say that the glass is half full, not that the glass is half empty. A very popular position that doesn't pay well is the one that says it's half empty. You know, the negative thing. Instead, if you could say it in a more positive way, like, hi, I've got exciting news. What's that? Well, we're meant to do something else this evening. Uh-huh. Okay, I think you get the idea. Fear, false evidence appearing real. Isn't it something? I can't even get myself to say a negative thing. I have to leave it to your imagination. Fear is a great acronym for false evidence appearing real. You've probably heard it and read it. But in dealing with failure, which is described as lack of success for some, or a new set of problems, we prefer to call them challenges in our business. Problems, we don't really have any problems. Much like the people in Rosemount Cemetery. They don't have any problems either. We have challenges. They are man-made. Man can solve them. Isn't that great? You see, when we set up our business format franchise for M&P, our game plan, we already ran all the prototypes so that when we got done, we'd have the finished product. So those of you joining M&P today, you're seeing the finished product. We ran everything through the prototype, and what didn't work, we got rid of. You won't even hear about that. I guess we could do a seminar on that. Okay, everybody sign up for it tonight. It's only $350 a person, and we're going to have you all back, and we're going to tell you all the things that we tried that didn't work. Or we could just sum it up by saying the secret of your success is hidden in your daily routine. And we're not kidding. Okay. So ask yourself, is fear then justified? Yes. There are two cases when fear is justified, and two only, and let me give them to you, because other than that, you're on your own. Because I really don't think fear is justified the majority of the time. However, it is, the fear of reverence is a very legitimate fear, a very real one. I'm not going there. Okay? Nor should you, but I think you understand what I'm saying. The other true fear is the fear of danger. All right? You're in a closed room, no windows, and there's many snakes in there, very poisonous. That is called danger. That is a legitimate fear. Okay, I think you got it. Other than that, you can certainly pursue our business with vigor because nothing's bad going to happen to you. First of all, we don't sick reverence on you, and we don't put you in a room full of snakes. The type of fear, though, that we're discussing today is the fear of failure. For some, it's also called the fear of success for a very small minority of other people. There are some people that literally have a fear of success. So let's get this one out of the way right away. It's pretty simple to get it away of. As long as you don't have it, you don't have to worry about it. So as soon as you become successful, fear sets in, come see me. Okay, let's talk about fear of failure. And again, I'm not trying to make light of it, but there are people literally that say, oh, man, gosh, if I ever went diamond, I wouldn't know how to act. I know. That's why we're still working on you. And believe me, it'll be all right. It's kind of like a child. When a child has a fear when it first starts to walk, no, they're fearless, aren't they? They're just clumsy. Don't misunderstand your clumsiness for fear. Some of you aren't fearless, you're just clumsy. Like a child, right? When you see a small child reaching for the footstool to keep its balance, do you push it out of the way? Of course not. Do you lend a helping hand? Do you extend your hand? Sure. And what do you say to that child to give them confidence, the courage, the character to make that step? Oh, my gosh. You don't even sound like you can do it. You know what you say? Now that you wonder now you know why the child walks before the child talks. Didn't understand a word you just said. Here they were, very smart college graduates. Of course, that is not a good remedy for fear or clumsiness. So we're talking about fear of failure, the fear that renders us useless or causes us to be less than what we should be. I should underline that. Okay. Less than what we should be. Explanation point. We should never be less than what we should be. Often we're afraid of things that we have no control over. Absolutely none. Look at the gas gauge. Did you see that?
I'll tell you what, we're going to run out of gas.
No, we're going to make it.
I'll tell you what, we're going to run out of gas. You think I'm going to get out the car whenever we're running out of gas? You think you're crazy. You're going to run out of gas. You're going to get everything to get gas and come down.
Right? You've been there. Or how many of you just looked at the gas gauge and looked at like it's going to move, right? It's going to move in the other direction, right? Don't you wish you had masking tape? You could just cover it. No, I got to know. Then now they put bongs in your car to remind you. Bong! Low fuel. Bong, bong, bong. Really low fuel. What really causes most of those things? Procrastination. Correct? We put things off. We postpone. And a lot of times we do that over things we really have no control over, but you do have control over putting gasoline in your car. Most people, when they talk in dealing with fear of failure, they imagine all the bad things that could happen if they do this or that. Gosh. So let's review. Number one, we need to constantly be proactive in developing a positive, proper self-image, one that teaches us that we're a reaction to our environment, not a product of our environment, and one that teaches us that we need to develop and control our self-esteem and self-awareness if we understand where we want to go forward with a very positive outlook on the business. Number two, though, we also need to eliminate fear and procrastination. Therefore, there's no fertile seeds for failure to grow. Now, after we get through those two things, I believe we can then begin to really sharpen the techniques that we must instill to build a solid, successful, productive business. See, some people will try to build a solid, successful, productive business with a poor self-image or with fear, and they get frustrated rather soon, and you wonder what happened to them. And it's very simple. There is an art and a science to this business. Gang, all you need to do is take a step back. Don't take yourself too seriously. Learn how to build a good self-image. Do the things that are necessary. Have fun with it. That's why we say, have fun, make money, help people. Eliminate fear and avoid procrastination, second, so that when you sharpen your techniques, they will be the very best of what you have to give. So place yourself in a Plan B approach to life, a Plan B approach to business, and eliminate fear. You'll have a lot more fun. We draw that out. Perhaps you've seen it when they show the plan. They say, here's Plan A, Plan B. And oftentimes, you'll say, you almost have to agree with us. If you look at the Plan A, home to work, work to home, and what the security provides from a Plan A, I think you would agree that even if Plan B wasn't for you, that there is a very definite need and market for Plan B. Correct? 8 out of 10 people aren't happy with the type of income they're making. They have no source of ongoing income. There's a huge need for Plan B. So therefore, that would take away your argument that you shouldn't do Plan B, by the very analysis that you would conclude on your own. The only thing that sometimes will hold you back is either a low self-esteem or fear and procrastination because you don't know how to develop a Plan B approach to business. Well, duh. Many people aren't born with that. Matter of fact, I think the only colossal mistake you could make in this business is if the two of you sat down at the kitchen table to discuss the future of your business all by yourself. That's probably the only time you can make a colossal mistake. A colossal one. You should always learn to check upline, plug into the power source and the people that are where you'd like to be. Okay. People believe what they want to believe despite all the evidence to the contrary. And there's not too much you and I can do about that other than get a bucket of paint. But why do they do that? Lack of faith and abundance of fear. Dad, let's go down the water slide. Are you kidding me? Look at that. It's 70 feet in the air. I'd be out of breath just walking to the top. Then what do? You hurl yourself down a tube. And it's dark. It's enclosed. You fly outside the building and come back in. Just my luck, you wouldn't stop. You'd fly out the chute when you got down to the end. Land on concrete. No, come on, Dad, let's go. There's a red one and a wine-colored one. I think the wine-colored one's slower. Sure. Look, I'm wearing a bathing suit. I want to be wearing it when I get to the bottom. Lack of faith and an abundance of fear. And doggone it, I said, I had every excuse. I got their attention. I held my son's interest. I spoke with conviction. Now the clothes. Maybe at the end of the day, let's try some of these other ones first. Well, one of the other ones I didn't want to do either. The other one was you grab a raft and you walk your rear end off to get to the top of this thing so you can come down in this raft through a tube. I can avoid that one. There's far safer ones, like the one where you just kind of sit in the tube and you float down through the whole place. Whoa, that's a popular one for me. And all of a sudden my granddaughter says, "Hey, come on, grab a raft. We're going to the top." Now, I'm older than her. And so I did. And it wasn't too bad until I got on the tube because, you can kind of hold on, right? And she's doing it. and I wasn't too bad until Joe, he's very ornery. He's taller than me. He takes his leg and he pushes my tube so that I spin around, and now I'm going down backwards. In a tube, in the dark. In the dark, I tell you. Fear grows in the dark. Remember this. This is true. Oftentimes we have a fear of something that we have no reason to be afraid of. I was so brave at the end. And yes, I did go down the red one, and I went down the wine one, and I did keep my bathing suit on. And you know why? I saw 2 young 8-year-olds go down. Someone else had done it. How could I not? Oftentimes, though, we have a fear of something that we have no reason to be afraid of, but because we do fear it, and because in our minds we imagine all the bad things that will happen, I'll fly out onto the concrete, crack my head open. I'll lose my bathing suit and my dignity. Or we say we'll do this or do that, or we go here or go there, or we come this or that. Actually, we keep imagining and visualizing fear. We build up this tremendous case with sometimes no valid evidence at all. Have we not all been guilty of that? Why, sure. But then we read, and all of a sudden you read this statement, a ship is safest tied to the dock. On the rocks. Because it's already there, it can't get any worse than... No, a ship is safest in deep water. Or we can become impossibility thinkers. An impossibility thinker is somebody who makes a swift, sweeping pass over proposed ideas, scanned with a sharp negative eye, looking only for the distasteful aspects present in almost every human situation, so they're inclined to say no to an idea or proposal, never giving it a fair hearing. You remember reading that. We begin to fear that which there is no reason to be afraid of. We begin to think and visualize and imagine. We become absolutely frightened, petrified, paralysis, and what happens? We run to the other side of the water park and pretend we're eating. They announce our award and our rear end is glued to our seat. And then we have to understand the secret of our success is hidden in our daily routine. Take it for the team. Okay. Even though we have a great self-image, we can contact prospects and with a tremendous poor attitude or a sweaty palm or even worse, procrastination. You see, we have to learn to complement and complete really what it is we want out of the business. Remember, what we may be fearing may be nothing more than an illusion in our minds. We build up such a case of fear and anxiety and frustration that we become disturbed and we back off or procrastinate, and our mind becomes literally divided. What happens? Well, the very thing which was not there, we created in our minds, and so when we get there it is. The very thing we feared shows up. Why? You willed it. You invited it. It's inevitable. Then it's meant to be. And then you say, see, I told you. I knew that would happen. Well, duh. You programmed yourself for it. You should give yourself a pat on the back. See, you always give 3 speeches. The one you're going to give, then the one you give. Now, so far, you were going to give one, and then you got up here for an award and you gave it. I can't wait to hear the one you give on the way home to your steering wheel. Or if you're husband and wife amongst each other. Like, next time I come to a BDS or go to a conference, I'm going to walk across that stage and I'm going to really remember my upline's name. And this time I'm going to say the right award. or I'm going to be at 25%. You'll start to begin that process, because if you're going to program yourself for success, not failure. So be careful what you dream of, because you will surely have it. Be careful of what you dream of, for you will surely have it. We make the mistake out of fear and procrastination, and we begin to react, look, think in such a way, and live in such a way that we can actually be afraid of what actually becomes true. I met a guy who got involved in the business, and his wife had driven him to my home, and I started visiting with her. He was there for actually a contract obligation. I hired him to do something, and I mentioned to his wife, I noticed that you drove, and she said, that's very observant. I said, thank you. And he said, well, I noticed your husband didn't drive. She said, he does not have his driver's license. I said, oh, gee, I immediately went right there, DUI. I'm thinking like I shouldn't have brought that up, and she said, well, no, he never got his driver's license. And so I approached him. I said, John, you never got your driver's license. He said, no, Jody, I have a fear of driving. See, he had conjured it up. He just knew that he got behind the wheel, the accelerator was going to stick to the floor, or he'd miss the brake and he'd be the guy who drove through the restaurant. I mean, he had a lot of anxiety, a lot of built-in, pent-up stuff. Believe it or not, because of his association with this business, so let's believe it, and because the people that are in this business, you know what really attracts this business to you? The fellow teammates that are the business support team, that are strategic partners and above, you know what you notice about them? They share the same values you do. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Yes. They share the same set of values you do. They lifted John up. They didn't make fun of him. They did at the machine shop where he worked incessantly. On Team MMP, they encouraged him. They waved the checkered flag. I'll never forget when I saw his car one day, he took his first speeding ticket and laminated and put it on the side window as a testimony that he overcame one of the biggest fears in his life. How about that? Most of us would get our ticket and kind of hide it. Don't let our husband or wife see that we got it. How much was that? It wasn't like he set out to deliberately get a ticket, and it wasn't like he was doing something, really awful. I don't think he stopped at a stop sign properly or something like that, whatever it was. But you see, it was helping him, and that was a byproduct of our business, right? When we show the plan, do we say, and you get your driver's license? There's some great serendipities in this business. Wow. So we want to avoid fear of failure and procrastination. We don't want to begin to react and look and think in such a way and live in such a way that we can actually find out what we were actually afraid of come true actually comes true. Sometimes you might hear someone say to you, you should worry. I actually had a gal come to me and wanted to correct me at the end of one of my presentations. She said, Jody, you really need to teach people they should worry. I said, oh, you don't have to teach it. Well, what do you mean? She said, no. She said, people should worry. I worry all the time. She said, I'm really looking out for those kids. I'm worried. All right. I said, you mean your kids go out the back door to play and you say, look out for the trucks? They weren't going anywhere near them? Yeah, that kind of stuff. I thought, wow. She said, yeah, because what you worry about won't come true. I said to her, stop believing that. And I would say to you, don't believe that, my friends. Don't believe that. But sometimes men and women, they fear things that really they have no legitimate reason to fear. But if they keep fearing them, they will come to pass. Because if you keep worrying about something like she would suggest that you did, and you keep fretting about something, and you become afraid more and more, you'll just become more and more fearful, and then you'll be worrying about everything. And then you'll be like the fellow that I met who worried about everything because he had a mother that told him he should worry. She believed that worry was it, and worry was important. And he became very worried and agoraphobic. He became actually frozen by fear and housebound. And we did not even know it. He later told it to me, but asked me not to share it with anyone. I said, Well, sure, okay. But he became so proud that he was able to overcome it, he wrote a book about it. 10 chapters. In the last chapter, he said, and a note from Jody. Because all we did in our business was to encourage him, incrementally, moving him closer. His dream was to go to the Vatican. And he made it. But we first started him with a little trip. From Akron, Canton, he went all the way to Kansas City. You might say, woo. What was a woo? It was a biggie for him. You see, incrementally, you can overcome these things. You sure can. Because if you keep worrying and fretting about a thing and fretting and worrying, it can become actually paralyzing. The very thing you've carved into your subconscious mind by allowing fearful thoughts to penetrate sets up housekeeping. They'll actually establish a foundation. You'll begin to build upon it in your mind, and that's exactly what's going to happen. You have to be in the business of canceling fear, deleting it. Get a big delete button. In the business, changing your minds is all part of an attitude and a thought process. If truth were known, 99% of the people that are sitting here today could name something they're afraid of. 99% of you could name something that you're afraid of. The water slide. Or you say, well, they didn't bother you. Okay, bungee jumping. I might get a bigger net than there. I might get more of you to say, okay, you got me on the bungee jump. I understand that if it's not just right, you go first, because if it's not just right, there's something about your head hits first, right? And if it's boing, right? Put a big, heavy guy up there first to make sure that the elasticity, he clears it. There's some certain thought process that you need to download, perhaps. But fear of failure into the future, listen, the past cannot be changed. The future is still in your power, and you should need to eliminate the fear of the unknown. But some people have fears of not only the future, but they have a fear of not just bungee jumping, but financially. Not enough income to meet their needs. Some people have a fear of ill health. It's a security thing or a sickness. Some people have a fear of loss of love, of a child or a wife, a husband or a parent, or even of criticism. You can't please everyone. And so they have these fears. Some people start financially with their fear. They start saving for a rainy day, but only when it's sprinkling. Well, let me give you my commercial. This just in. MMP ready commercial. Someone else has done it. Someone with the same set of fears or challenges in their life, because we don't have problems, we have challenges. Man-made, man can solve them. Someone else has done it. So it's just a question of doing the right things, but then what? In the right order, like following a recipe. And you'll become successful. It's not enough that you just know that someone else has done it, right? Like if you saw somebody bungee jump, that's cool. Okay, someone else has done it. But you also want to make sure that they tie you on the right way, not by your wrist. So you want to do the right things and also then do them in the right order. Don't jump off until first they've tied you to the bungee cord, right? Like you don't just climb to the top of the tower, okay! That's a real high I person there, I think, right? Woo! Or is it an S person? Yeah! No self-respectful C would have done that, I'll tell you that. Maybe a D. Hard charging! So why do people have fear and procrastination? I mean, gosh, if someone else has done it in our business, why should people have fear about doing the business? Like, duh. And then if not only have you seen other people have done it, but it's just, did you not know that they did the right things in the right order? They didn't follow what they thought was working. They followed the MMP game plan to the letter. Well, first of all, ignorance. We're all ignorant, just on a different set of subjects. There are some people that register in our business, and basically, just out of ignorance, they procrastinate, and they have these fears. Well, now after listening to this, you can't plead insanity anymore. But, some people just out of ignorance, they don't know how to think properly. Does that make sense to you? Just because they're adults, maybe adults married with children, doesn't mean they know how to think properly. There's an art to thinking properly. Okay? Secondly, because they face situations that are uncontrollable. Many people are afraid of what they cannot control. Many people in the business face procrastination due to face-to-face fear of the uncontrollable situation. Okay, if I say this and they say that, oops, that wasn't on the audio. Whoa, they could say this. And they fear all that, and then they get there and none of that comes up. kind of funny. Listen, the man who is constantly plagued with a fear of failure is cutting his own rut toward failure. So don't fear out of ignorance or uncontrollable. I might even tell you, I was at Universal Studios with my family, and they fibbed to me. They did. They told me this was a very calm ride. You just sit inside. You just sit in a little thing. They strap you in. You just sit in it. They fibbed to me. I was flying through corpuscles and blood vessels and things like that. And then I said, what was that? You know, I don't like those kind of rides. Then the next one, the city came up, the sidewalks came up, and fire came out and almost burnt my hair off. Then they told me that Spider-Man thing was really simple because you just sat in a chair and watched it. Watched it. I've never been moved so many ways and gyrations and all around in my life. But I loved it. If you continuously fear a thing, what you're doing is you're setting that thing up in your mind. You're gravitating toward the very thing that you're afraid of, and you must learn to avoid fear at any cost. Or invite my family over. Remember, whatever you're afraid of, whatever's plaguing your mind, whatever keeps griping at you, whatever keeps bothering you, you keep telling yourself about that thing, and you keep gravitating toward it. You've got to stop thinking about it. I remember whenever the ride stopped, though, I did say to my family, I knew it. But worse yet, they took me to Epcot, or Disney World place, Epcot, and they had this big sphere in the middle of the thing. I'm not going on that. Oh, come on, Dad. Sure. Look, I'm not going on it. Why not? Oh, it'll stop, and I'll be in the middle upside down. Now, that can't happen. It happened. We got in it. We got to the top. We're laying on our back, and it stopped. I said, very funny. Did you guys arrange this? They said, no. That is not a time to look fearful. Or if you're flying with Kathy on an airplane, she's not really a great flyer. But we don't get on the plane saying, I know this one's going down. This is it. This is the one. This one. If there's ever a plane going to, this is it. It might be the pilot's turn. Or time's up. Not at all. People get far more prayerful, and also, but I remember whenever the kids would be on the plane, even if it hit a little boom, we'd smile, look real confident. Flight attendants are out in the aisles then. Okay. There's a third thing that causes people to have fear and procrastination. It may be guilt, primary cause of fear. So be honest. Sometimes when you're listening, you're honest, and sometimes you're not. At some time or another, you change in attitude or thought process. I remember one time a great speaker was giving a talk, and someone asked him at the end of his talk, he said, gee, you changed your opinion on something. And he said, yes, when the facts change, I'd gladly change my opinion. Oh. But also understand you can't afford just to live in the world where you only react to what you think is the 6 inches between your ears as facts. Otherwise, you'll create what I call the CDs, creeping doubts. You'll get a case of CDs. You'll try to close the door on all fear and procrastination, and just as you've almost got the door completely shut, just a blink of a light slips through, and it's a creeping doubts out, bouncing all around you. Like the bouncing spiders on a game. They're there to zap you all to death. Just know, you have to know in your heart, just know that whatever it is that you're worried about is not going to happen. So you have to learn to have faith. To have no faith is to cancel your deposits. To have no faith is to have no conviction. When you're frightened, you just have to always rely on your faith. You got to ask yourself, M&P is M&P doing it right? Well, sure. Does the business sound too good to be true? Shouldn't. Well, so-and-so can do it, but I don't know if I can do it. Really? Yeah, you don't know my problems. You can run yourself through all those scenarios all you want. At the end of the day, that's all they are, just scenarios. You have to learn how to react to what confronts you. It takes both character and courage to leap over, close the door on fear and procrastination. When you have somebody brand new in front of you, that's the time you should gain your most confidence. That's when you should be the easiest. And when it gets all jabberwocker done inside of you, take a deep breath, relax, and tell them about the intangibles about our business. You may not know all the facts. That's fine. Especially when you're new, you can plead insanity. You can say, well, gosh, I'm new. I'm plead insanity. But here's what I have learned. First and foremost, I got involved in the business because this is my chance, my opportunity to provide more for my family. Or you could say, this is my chance, my opportunity to place myself in a position with a great team of other people who I've met, where I can develop some ongoing sources of income. Talk to them about what you know. You know, your favorite, best first speech, if you were fearful of speaking in front of other people, would be a speech about yourself. Because you're confident, you know the story, you know the subject. And no one can put you in a position to ask a question that you wouldn't already know the answer to. So if you ever get fearful of talking to a brand new person or a prospect or a new team member and they say, yeah, but what about that? Or what about this? You can look at them with all the confidence in the world by saying, I think they've already figured that one out. We know where to go get the answer. We're not going to get the answer talking between the two of us. In other words, react in a very positive, constructive way when faced with challenges or people who are just filled with fear. Call a friend. Don't sit there with paralysis. Don't panic. Dial a prayer. Call your upline. I mean, gosh, what would you do if you're sitting home eating dinner or whatever, involved in something with your family at that particular moment, and a knock comes to the door and it's your upline. And they say, go ahead and finish dinner. I just have something very important to tell you, but go ahead and finish your dinner anyway. Fear. Fear could sit in right there. All of a sudden, loss of appetite. Yeah. Wait a minute, my upline's here. There must be something. Did I do something wrong? Isn't that what most people would err on the side? You know, I think I did something. Ooh, are they here for exciting news? Well, I think don't worry. I think they're there for very exciting news. So you should say, oh, wonderful. Learn how to react to fear. As long as you keep your eye on your why, you can handle fear. It's the best remedy. Anytime I find people are fearful, I always go right to the reason why we got involved in the business, and I talk about why. Then the negative seeds die. The man who does nothing but wait for a ship to come in has already missed the boat. I tell people, how can you wait for your ship to come in if you haven't sent any out? The next time you're faced with failure and procrastination, find the answers. Do. Make it right. Quit excusing yourself. Action cures fear. Action with the right attitude, but don't forget enthusiasm. The key to a lot of troubles is the one that fits the ignition. Some people are sinking. That's when fear sets in. You can't sink standing on the rock of our game plan and our pattern. It's impossible. It's unsinkable. All leaders are absent of those types of fears. Therefore, there is no room for failure or procrastination. Be great. Do great. You can do it. You will do it. You are doing it. You should have a battle cry of every night. Every night. You should be encouraging yourself. You're the guy. You're the gal. If not, you who? What do you want to send a substitute? Wait a minute, I need a stand-in for this one. This one looks tough. They got stand-ins, right? No, that's how you learn. You grow. So fear and procrastination should not be your challenge. Not dealing with fear and procrastination is your new challenge. The only thing keeping you from attacking your new challenge is your front door. Many people die with the music still in them. So don't spend your days stringing and tuning your instrument. Start making music now. Build with love, not fear. And what is love? Well, love is you, who are already sharing and always ready to give a little more of yourselves to make the world and our lives a little bit better. That's why I keep my me card in front of me. I keep my me card in front of me. I keep the things that are necessary to build a very positive, ongoing self-image and eliminating procrastination and failure. It's a decision that I made, and I will not move off the game plan until the game plan is a habit. And you shouldn't either. You should stay on the game plan, know how to contact, invite, how to set up a short coffee, whoosh, concept plan. As you learn to gather and get your must-dares, segment of 5, be excited, be enthused. It's your future. Wow. Fear sometimes, though, can produce slumps. So now that you know it, you should never be in a slump. Sports stars are used to slumps. We're not. I remember watching the movie with my sons. Losing is a disease. When the team was in a big slump, they brought in this psychiatrist who stood in front of them wearing that awful hat. Losing is a disease. And he was right. But comebacks are rewarded. And we receive an awful lot of inspiration, don't we? When we read about sports and team sports or individual heroics, about people who overcame huge odds. What kind of odds did you have to overcome to be 300 PMA or Team 5 or Team 10 with MMP? Were there huge odds? I don't think so. Simple ones. Mental gymnastics. Who are we listening to? Ourselves? The team? The media? Understand that your audios don't have buzzers or bells or things that make them ring so you'll pick them up and play and answer them. You have to demonstrate the action that cures fear and failures and procrastination. You're the one that has to push play. Put it in the earphones, whatever it takes. Remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You were fearless as a child. In this business, you should be as fearless. Understand, the system runs the business. Our MMP game plan runs the business. This function would have ran with or without you. The awards and rewards and the next summer conference and fall leadership will run with or without us. Because the MMP game plan runs the business. It's the people who run the system. Make sense? The system runs the business. The people run the system. You run the system. You run it. And then we don't have in the system, okay, here's where you pause with procrastination for a week. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now recognize all the failures in the room. Can we hear them now? Can I get someone up here to share with us their last 5 failures? There's not a big statue to that. There's not a big pin for your lapel. So keep your fears to yourself, but share your courage. Betcha by golly, wow. Please do. Share your courage with others. Why is it that it's so easy for us to go have a fabulous open, a fabulous BDS, and we go for coffee, or we're back at someone's house, or we're sharing with the newest person, and we begin to share our fear, failure, or procrastination? Or what's wrong, or the glass is half empty. Stop it, please. If you were going to procrastinate on anything, it's sharing negatives. If you're going to have a fear of anything, it's that Jody hearing you share failures with the wrong people. If you have a challenge in the business, it's very simple. Take it upline. Keep your fears to yourself, but share your courage with others. Overcoming fear takes courage. Courage and character. I believe they both go hand in hand. That's the ability to carry out a worthy decision after the emotion of making that decision has passed. Did you hear me? Hope so. Some people say, well, silence is golden, Jody. Yes, and sometimes it's just plain yellow. Bottom line, feed your faith. Feed your faith. Feed your faith, and you'll starve your fear to death. Feed your faith. Stay on your why in the business. We have 12 laws of prosperity in MMP. Fear is not among them. Overcoming fear takes courage and character. Courage and character is the ability to carry out a worthy decision after the emotion of making that decision has passed. Fair enough? Fair enough. Listen over and over again to how to build a solid, successful, productive business, and start with a very positive, healthy self-image. Eliminate failures. Understand you only have challenges. Look at every opportunity, the glass is half full, not half empty. If somebody has nothing invested, then they have nothing to lose. Invest heavily in yourself. You see, if somebody has nothing invested, then they have nothing to lose. And if they have nothing to lose, then they have nothing to defend when the going gets tough. My prayer to you is that you have a lot to defend because you're a vibrant, viable member of a tremendous team making a difference in a lot of people's lives because you have a marker. You have an opportunity to succeed and to inspire. This is your chance. This is your day. This is your opportunity. Put fear to death. Step out with courage and character. It's been great sharing with you.
This is a copyrighted program of Legacy Leadership Collective powered by Markerman Productions, affiliated with MarkerNet Incorporated.